Right, so hello and welcome back to Books and Things, and welcome to another video, and welcome to a Christmas book haul. Today I want to tell you about all the books that have come onto my shelves lately. So I have quite a lot of books to show you today. A couple of review copies that I received just before Christmas, quite a lot of books that I got as gifts for Christmas, and also a few books that I bought for myself with Christmas vouchers and Christmas money. So yes, quite a few new books coming onto my TBR, but all books I'm excited to read. So we'll start off with the proof copies that I was sent just before Christmas, all of which actually are from Penguin Michael Joseph, who are my publisher. It's always very nice to read new releases from them, partly because, you know, it's fun to support other authors from the same publisher as me. It feels like a kind of little community. So here we have A Fortune Most Fatal by Jessica Bull. This is the second book in the Miss Austen Investigate series, a series of historical murder mystery books focusing on Jane Austen solving various mysteries. It's great. I love the first book. I'm really loving the second book so far. This comes out in March, and it's just like such a pleasure to read. It's just so entirely delightful. I really feel like Jessica Bull gets Jane Austen like as a person as I imagine Jane Austen was. So this is great so far. And then I also have here The Favourite by Fran Littlewood. This is out in June. This is the second book by Fran Littlewood. Her first one, Amazing Grace Adams, came out in 2023, and I loved it so much. So I'm so excited to pick this one up. So this is about a family and what happens when one particular event on a family holiday reveals that one sister is the parents' favourite, and I'm just very curious to see what will go on from there. I loved Amazing Grace Adams so much that I just know this will be amazing. So yeah, really looking forward to this one. Then I also have here The Midnight Carousel by Fiza Syed McLin. So this is a historical sort of mystery novel set in Chicago in the 1920s. It's about this woman who has come to America to kind of escape her past, and she finds this carousel that she hopes she can use to kind of turn into a business, but she doesn't realise that several years before it was connected with the disappearance of several people. So that sounds really intriguing. Really looking forward to this one too. So then I have quite a few books to show you that I got for Christmas. Quite a few of these are works of historical fiction, which I'm very excited for. So here we have Northwoods by Daniel Mason. I just feel like I kept hearing people talk about this on BookTube last year, and it sounded like a very me kind of book. So it's a work of historical fiction set in the US, spanning several centuries, and I think we're following like various different people all living in the same community over a really long period of time, which just sounds like the kind of book that I love, you know, like Cuddy by Benjamin Myers or like News of the Dead by James Robertson. I just really love those kind of books. So I'm really looking forward to this one. I think it will be very up my street. I also have here The Housekeepers by Alex Hay, which I'm really looking forward to. I've heard amazing things about this book. And I've also met Alex Hay at like quite a few book events. We have some mutual writer friends. And every time I see him again, I feel guilty that I haven't read his book yet. Especially when it just sounds so entirely my kind of thing. This is an Edwardian heist novel. Doesn't that sound amazing? It's set in 1905, and while the mistress of a big grand house is planning a party, her housekeeper is planning to rob her. And it just sounds massive fun, and I've heard amazing things, so I'm very excited to read this one soon. Then another book I got for Christmas that I'm really excited for is this. This is Liberty by Caitlin Greenidge. This came out, I think, back in 2021 and has been vaguely on my radar ever since. This is set in the US in the 19th century and is the coming of age story of a young black woman. She's the daughter of a female doctor, but she doesn't feel she can live up to her mother's ambitions for her, so she ends up kind of taking a different path in life. Sounds really interesting, so really looking forward to this one. Then a couple of books by authors I've read before. Here we have The Wood at Midwinter by Susanna Clarke. This is a new Susanna Clarke short story in a really kind of beautifully illustrated edition. I mean, just look at the beautiful end papers, but there are some lovely illustrations throughout. It's very short. I've heard really lovely things about this. I love Susanna Clarke. Everything she writes is fantastic. I know that this is obviously wintry. I don't know whether it's Christmassy. I don't know whether I've like left it already too late to read. So maybe I'll wait and read it like next December 2025, but we'll see. Regardless, I'm excited for it and it's very beautiful, so lovely to have on my shelves. And then another book I got for Christmas is Orbital by Samantha Harvey. So I'm really excited to read this. I've read all of Samantha Harvey's previous books and really enjoyed them all. And I was so excited when this won the Booker Prize. Samantha Harvey actually taught me on my creative writing Masters a good 10 years ago now, and I've always really loved her books. And she was also the person who first introduced me to John McGregor's books. He's another of my favourite authors, so there we go. Anyway, I was really excited when she won the Booker Prize. It's about a group of astronauts orbiting space and thinking about things. I think it's probably more literary than my usual taste, but it's also very short, which I like in a more literary book. And I've read lots of her books before and always really enjoyed them, so I'm really looking forward to this. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be great. I also got some comics for Christmas, which is exciting. So last year, I read a Hawk Girl comic, which was probably like the first comic I've ever read, or definitely that I've read as an adult, possibly that I've ever read. It was just so fun, and I really, really enjoyed it. And having really loved the Hawk Girl comic I read last year, I had been wanting to read some more superhero comics, so Nick gave me some X-Men comics for Christmas, which I'm really looking forward to. So I think this is a more like traditional X-Men Epic Collection, it's called, and then another bind up here is the New X-Men, which looks a bit darker. So I'm really looking forward to both these. I think they'll just be really fun. I really like the X-Men thematically. Like, I feel like there's a lot of superheroes that are really cool, but I feel like the superhero like world that is the most interesting thematically is X-Men. So I'm really looking forward to reading these. I think they'll be really fun. Then I also got 2 Japanese classics for Christmas. These are 2 books by Natsume Soseki. So here I have Sanshiro and Kusamarakura. I don't know too much about either of these, and I'm kind of keen to keep it that way. I am not going to read the back of these books because I love Penguin Classics very much, but they do have a habit of spoiling the story on the back of a book. But I've read quite a few things by Soseki before. I've read Botchan, Kokoro, and some short stories. He's a really great writer, so I'm really looking forward to both of these. And I did say in my reading goals for 2025 video that I wanted to read more internationally and read more in translation this year, so very good to have these on my shelves for that. And that leads me on to the next few books that I have to talk about as well. These are books that I bought for myself with Christmas vouchers, and I'm looking forward to them. So the first 2 books I have are both for a read-along I'm taking part in. Katja from Page Turners with Katja is running a really fantastic Reading the Globe read-along throughout 2025. There's a contemporary strand, there's a YA and middle grade strand, and there's a classic strand. And I bought a couple of the classics for the read-along, basically to make sure that I take part. The first classic for the read-along is The Three Musketeers by Alexander Dumas, but I'm going to listen to that one on audiobook, so I haven't bought myself a physical copy, but I have bought the next 2. So the book for March and April is this. This is Season of Migration to the North by Tayeb Sally. Tayeb Sally is an author from Sudan. This was first published in the 1960s in Arabic, and it's translated by Dennis Johnson Davies. I don't know too much about all the books that Katja has picked out for the read-along, but I'm kind of just like trusting her judgment, and I'm excited for them all. This book is about a young man who kind of returns to his home village after some years away and finds a stranger there whom he befriends, and it's kind of about their friendship and both of their past lives, I suppose. Thematically, I think it's in part about colonialism, and I think it sounds like a really interesting read, so looking forward to picking this one up later in the year. And then for May and June, the read-along pick is this. This is Baron Barge by Alexander Lerner Hollenier. This is an Austrian novel from 1936, translated from the German by Richard and Clara Winston. From the back of this book, I think this is kind of both a World War I novel and like a surrealist novel, so I think it basically is about someone who dies during the First World War and like goes to another strange world. I don't know, but it sounds kind of fascinating, so really looking forward to this one. Then, not for Catcher's read along, but sticking with the theme of international classics, I also picked up this. This is Reunion by Fred Ullman. So this book is from the 1970s and it's set in 1930s Germany, and it tells the story of the friendship between 2 teenage boys. One is Jewish and one is not. Fred Ullman was a German writer, but he later settled in the UK, and this book is written in English. I thought it was in translation when I picked it up, but it's not. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to reading this one. It sounds really interesting, and you know, it's very thin, so it won't take me long. Then another book I picked up for myself, kind of on the theme of reading more books from authors from around the world, was this. This is The Blue Fox by Sean. This is a novel from Iceland, translated from the Icelandic by Victoria Cribb. It's a work of historical fiction set in the late 19th century, about the kind of interweaving lives of 3 people, I suppose. It sounds slightly mythical and magical, and it sounds really interesting, and I've never read anything from Iceland before, I don't think, so really looking forward to this. And again, very short one that won't take me long. Then with the Waterstones voucher that I got for Christmas, I decided to get myself physical copies of 2 of my absolute favourite books of 2024. So if you watched my sort of favourite books of 2024, like the modern version. I spoke about how much I had loved Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin and Cuddy by Benjamin Myers in 2024. They were two of my absolute favourite books. So these two and The Mars House by Natasha Pulley, which I already have a physical copy of, were my favourite books of 2024, my favourite modern books of 2024. There were some amazing classics I read in 2024 as well. And I read both of these two books at the library. I didn't have a physical copy of them, but I love them both so much, and I know I will want to reread them in the future. And I also think Nick would really like Cuddy. So I wanted to get myself some physical copies so I can put them on my shelves and think about how much I love them. So very, very nice to own physical copies of these. Good that not all of the books I acquired are going on to my TBR. Then finally, I also got myself one non-fiction book. This is Black Victorians Hidden in History by Keshia N. Abraham and John Wolfe. So I've been meaning to pick up this book for ages, and my local library has a copy, and I was gonna get it out from the library, and then I thought, actually, this is probably a book I want to tab. So this book, as the title suggests, is about Black people living within Victorian Britain, and from the contents page, it looks like, as well as kind of talking about broader social changes, it's also going to talk about the lives of a lot of individuals, which is like my absolute favourite thing in history books. And I just think this will be fantastic and really, really interesting. I've heard really good things about this one, so I'll probably read this at some point later in the year. Hello again, Katie from the future here. Obviously, between the time of me filming my Christmas book haul and going to edit and post my Christmas book haul, I then got a few late Christmas presents. I met up with some friends and family post-Christmas and got a few more books, so I thought I would quickly add these into the video. So here I have a lovely old edition of Our Mutual Friend from the 1970s with a really fun cover and lots of lovely illustrations throughout. It's got the original illustrations in, which I really enjoy for Dickens books, and obviously Our Mutual Friend is my favourite book of all time, so it's always nice to have more beautiful copies of this. This is another nice one to add to my shelves. I think this is probably the 5th edition of Our Mutual Friend that I have, maybe the 6th, which feels correct for your favourite book of all time, I think. So there we go. Then I was also given this. This is the Penguin Book Quiz. So this is basically a book full of literary quizzes, which I think will be really fun to do at some point. I suppose I could go through this myself and see how many I know, but it might also be fun to do it with some friends. Maybe I'll bring it along to the next book meetup. I don't know. I think this will be a good fun. Then I also was given this. This is The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett. I'm very excited to have this on my shelves now because I've been meaning to read this for ages and ages, mostly because I know this is in part a retelling of Passing by Nella Larsen, which is one of my absolute favourite books, like probably my favourite 20th century classic. So I'd be really interested to read Brit Bennett's take on it. This is the story of two twin sisters in the US. They're both pale-skinned black women, and one of them later on in life passes as white while the other one doesn't, and it's about what happens when their lives intersect again, and I think also possibly about their children as well. I've just heard so many great things about this, and I'm very excited to read it. So there we go, a few bonus edition books for my Christmas book haul, and now back to Katie from the past. That was a pretty big book haul. Lots of books going on to my TBR, lots of books I'm really, really excited to read. Quite a few short books that won't take me very long as well, and quite a few books I have sort of specific reading plans for in the next few months. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to all of these. So do let me know down in the comments, have you read any of these books? What did you think of them? Any books you got for Christmas? Any books you're excited to read in 2025? That's all for now. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back very soon with another bookish video.